again to another video that we are bringing to you during our Weeds in Our Garden series. My name is Cheryl Bykins. I'm the counseling minister here at Timberlake Christian Church and the licensed professional counselor with Timberlake Counseling. This week's video is brought to you on worry and anxiety. We're about halfway through the series now. And the first thing that came to mind when I thought about sharing with you on anxiety was the shaky man, kind of an old school teaching about anxiety in the early years of education. The shaky man is a good idea of what it feels like to experience anxiety in the body, where we may have a racing heart or feel like the walls are closing in. Our breaths may change and become very shallow and rapid. We may feel cold and clammy or sweaty. Our hands may shake, our body may shake. Our legs may feel like jelly or like they want to take off running. We also may notice changes in our appetite, our inability to think clearly or have clouded mind, but we also may have rapid thoughts that don't stop. And our speech can be affected. Sometimes nail biting may show up. This isn't an exhaustive list by any means, but as always, that will be shared with you in our resources page that you can check out with this video. So you maybe have experienced some of these if you think about a time you had to give a speech in front of a class, or when you look in the rearview mirror and you see, oh, those lights are coming after me and I'm getting ready to get pulled over, and there's just kind of that sinking feeling. Oh, I've been there, actually both of those situations. And so while we want a little bit of anxiety to help motivate us to do a task well, we also recognize that perpetual anxiety that sticks with us all day long, every day, is exhausting. And we may have that more days than not. And those who experience anxiety or an anxiety diagnosis, this is what they live with. And it is not a pleasant experience. I wanted to share with you a little bit more about all of the diagnoses that could fall under anxiety disorders. While we know there's generalized anxiety disorder, and sometimes it can look like depression, especially with teenagers. We recognize that the two typically share similar characteristics, but we have generalized anxiety disorder. We also have social anxiety disorder, panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder falls under one of these categories, post-traumatic stress disorder, adjustment disorder, specific phobias are also part of anxiety, separation anxiety, selective mutism, and a few others are reactive attachment disorder, disinhibited social engagement disorder, and some other motor disorders can actually be related to anxiety as well. And while we saw an increase in anxiety during our COVID years, because fear was heightened during that time, up to over 60% of Americans reported living in anxiety. We know that that number has come down. However, it continues to gradually increase from year to year as we track this data. And 20% of Americans approximately are actually diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, with roughly another 30% of Americans who experience anxiety at some point in the year. And they could meet the criteria for the diagnoses, but they are not diagnosed. Many may also confuse anxiety symptoms with a major medical condition. So we encourage you to check in with your general practitioner just to rule out any major medical concerns. And if all of those tests are coming back in the clear, fantastic, you're physically healthy. But mentally, you need to work on anxiety that's showing up in your mind and in your body. And you can do that with your general practitioner, you can do that with a psychiatrist, and also with a therapist. We encourage you to not self-medicate for anxiety, specifically with substances. This can actually cause the anxiety to get worse, mask any other medical concerns that could be happening, or worsen medical concerns for your health. And we don't want to see that happen. An anxiety diagnosis does not mean that you have to take medication. I hear that often. I don't want to take medication for that. But then I talk to another handful of people who say, more than a handful of people who say, I have gotten on anxiety medication and it has helped significantly, and I'm so glad that I did. So we know that research tells us pairing medication along with therapy and learning coping strategies to manage anxiety are the best methods of managing anxiety in your life. And so we encourage you in those ways. It looks like thought management, emotion management, behavior management, but there are a wide variety of coping skills and therapeutic processes that help with anxiety. Some of those skills include learning some breathing techniques. There are many of them out there. Journaling, challenging your thoughts and emotions, doing some exposure therapy, as well as calming and toning your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is considered the 10th cranial nerve in our system, and it runs roughly from our neck down to our abdomen. What's interesting about it is it carries information. It's also intertwined with our organs and with our hormones and with our neurotransmitters. So it plays a pretty major role. And if it gets worked up and it gets out of tune, then it makes it challenging for us to also manage our anxiety. So not to get too sciencey there, I would encourage you to check out our resource page, do a little research on the vagus nerve, and see how you can help yourself in that way to manage your anxiety. We know that fear is the common root of anxiety. And whether that comes from a real lived experience like a trauma, or it is a perceived idea like a panic disorder, it is still creating this turmoil within us, and our body is physiologically responding to that. And it may feel like there's a loss of power or control, the chaos around us, or there's pressure coming in on us, and we're not quite sure how to manage it. So these things showing up is an indicator we need to pay attention. A research value practice for anxiety, and I love these, are journaling, meditation, and prayer. Where have you heard those? And I love that it's even more reason for us to take the time to memorize scripture, because it helps us manage our anxieties. We already know this as Christ followers, and we know this as Bible readers, but God always first shows us in His Word, and we are so grateful for that. Philippians 4:4-8 is a great passage. Do not be anxious about these things. But I love the last part of it where it says, instead, we need to concentrate on what's good, what's true, what's honorable. Why? Because our brain can't do the two things at once. If it's concentrating on our anxieties, we can't understand and concentrate on what's good. But if we're concentrating on what's good and we're concentrating on our gratefulness, writing that gratitude journal, we then can't focus at the same time on those anxieties and those worries. Consider 1 John 4:18. Perfect love casts out fear. Well, if fear is what is at the root of these anxieties, and we're turning and looking toward that perfect love of God. Remember, we talked early on, look up. Look up. If you're looking at that perfect love of God, you will be able to find that freedom in casting out that fear. Now, a related topic is worry. And it doesn't come with those additional physiological responses that anxiety comes with and what we experience in our body, because anxiety is perpetual and it's felt all over the body in different ways. For each individual, it's different, and it sticks around for a length of time. But worry is considered something that is heavy on our heart, heavy on our mind. It's just a little bit of a burden that's holding us back or holding us down. June Hunt calls it the joy stealer. And so here's a reference material. We have this book available in the lobby that you can take a look at it. These little booklets are available there, and the resource link will be available too. We just want to pay attention that we aren't getting caught up in those worrisome thoughts. And as we are thinking about those worrisome thoughts, we also have to counter that, right? Let's think about something else. God takes care of the flowers. He takes care of the birds. And if He's created you, He's going to take care of you. Your needs will be met. Maybe not how you want them to be, but He has you in mind. And when we can focus in on that, we can receive that joy back, and we're not as focused on our worry. He reminds us not to worry about these things. He's telling us not to be anxious about these things. It doesn't mean that the worry won't show up and that the anxiety won't develop. But it does mean when you are facing them, you have tools and skills to be able to help you move into a healthier way of managing your mental health and managing your anxiety. Make the choice and take the opportunity to manage these in a healthy way. Again, there's a booklet on anxiety, Calming the Fearful Heart, that's available as well for you. So we have other resources that are available. We're happy to have that conversation with you. We hope that you connect with our website, counselingtlcc.com, and these resource pages. Continue to follow the series, these videos, as we are sharing this and walking alongside of you, maybe as you are walking alongside of others who are experiencing this. We hope that in the next week you will seek out these resources. You'll take some time to find some skills that work for you. Dig into those fears that are at the root of your anxiety. We hope that you are paying attention to what is stealing your joy in your worrisome thoughts. And we want to remind you that the love of Christ is all that you need in making these changes, along with implementing some of these other skills. And pairing these together is a way that God has shown you how much He loves you, and He wants to help you cast out that fear. We'll see you back here soon. Blessings.